In this video, I'm going to share with you how to buy your first rental property using the BRRRR strategy coming up. What's up, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs. Welcome to another video. Listen, the reason I wanted to put this video together is because I consider myself to be the family-oriented entrepreneur. And the only way for me to be a family-oriented entrepreneur, meaning I have all the time that I need to provide for my wife and kids, to be able to have the freedom to be able to do what I want, is to be able to have true time and freedom. And that's what real estate investing is all about, right? It's not about getting up and going to a 9 to 5, every single day to create some type of income for yourself. It's about creating passive income streams that allows you to have that time to do what you want and that freedom of choice to be able to do what you want for your family and your friends as well. So what I'm going to share with you today is a real wealth builder, and I'm sure you've heard of it before. Again, it's called the BRRRR strategy, but we're going to go into detail on how this actually works. All right, so what is the BRRRR strategy? What does BRRRR stand for? Well, for those of you who don't know, or you haven't seen it on one of my previous videos, basically BRRRR stands for buying a property, rehabbing a property, renting a property, refinancing a property, and then repeating the entire process until you have a certain amount of properties or a desired outcome and income to be able to take care of your time and freedom. Now, there's a couple of things that you're going to need in order to achieve the BRRRR strategy. Now, I've talked about having access to some resources, right? Those resources are a little bit of capital and fair credit. You don't need excellent credit. And you definitely don't want to try to do this if you have bad credit. If you have terrible credit, then stick to the creative real estate investing video where I showed you how to buy your first rental property using owner financing, even if you're broke, because you don't need cash and credit to be able to do that. But when you start incorporating the BRRRR strategy into your real estate investing business, it will accelerate your efforts to become financially free on a much larger scale in your real estate investing business. Let's jump into some more of the nitty gritty of how this actually works. You understand what BRRRR is at this point, and you understand that you're going to need access to some capital and some credit, fair credit. And we're talking about a 650 to a 680 credit score in order to be able to make this work. So when it comes to the buy portion of using the BRRRR strategy, there's 3 ways to fund these types of deals. You can use your own cash if you have access to a bunch of cash. You can use what's called private money, which can be anybody that you know with some extra money. It could be family, friends, workmates, etc. Or you can use a more institutionalized approach and hard money. Hard money is probably going to be one of the easiest ways to get started. Most people, whether you know it or not, you have people who have access to capital, but most people don't like to ask for the capital. They'll rather go to someone that they don't know. And that's where a hard money lender can come into play. So to keep it simple, let's just say you don't have access to money. And let's just say you don't know anybody who have the money in order to lend you, in order to be able to purchase real estate. Let's focus on hard money. Now, a hard money lender is nothing more than an asset-based lender. So what that means is they're going to take, let's just say that this is a house, and let's just say that this is the cash. They're going to take this cash and they're going to allow you to borrow this cash up against this asset, which is the house. And the house is the collateral that the lender is going to use in order to be able to provide you with the loan. So they're asset-based lenders. That means if you bring a good deal to a hard money lender, they will loan you the money based off of the asset being a good asset. And that's how these lenders are able to provide loans to people with less than par credit or who don't have access to a lot of capital. Okay, they're basically charging you a premium to be able to purchase this property when you borrow money from them. That's how that works. Asset-based lenders. How does hard money loans work when it comes to purchasing these properties? Well, a hard money lender is going to want to see some points up front, which is basically a percentage of your loan. They're going to want to make sure that you have access to closing cost capital and enough money to start your rehab project. Okay, so although that sounds like a lot, it's not necessarily a lot of money. Let's use an example. Let's just say that a house is worth $100,000 completely fixed up, okay? A hard money lender will typically loan you 70% of the value of that house if it was in tip-top shape. So going into the deal, you know that a hard money lender is going to give you $70,000. So that means that you want to purchase a property at $70,000 minus the repair cost is going to take to get the property up to par, up to $100,000 in value. All right. So if you're into a deal at 70% of the actual value of the property, that means you have a 30% equity spread. That's a good asset for a hard money lender to loan money on. So your purchase price on that particular deal, using the numbers that we just talked about, is $50,000. You're going to go ahead and put $20,000 in repairs. And again, remember I talked about points up front, closing costs, and money to start the rehab project. That means that $70,000 on a loan, most hard money lenders are probably going to charge you right around 2 to 3 points. Let's just say 2 points to keep it clean. That means that they're going to charge you $1,400. 2% of $70,000 is $1,400. And in addition to that, you're also going to have closing costs. And let's just say the closing costs on average are going to run you another $1,000. So that means you're all into the deal at $2,400 to $2,500. And then you need enough money to start the demo, start your rehab project. And typically that's another, $1,000 to $2,000. So really, with $3,500 to $5,000, you can get a loan from a hard money lender without a great credit score, without having $100,000 in the bank, to be able to purchase a $100,000 asset. All right, so let's say $5,000 to purchase a $100,000 asset, where you're going to get all the cash that you need for the buy and the rehab from the hard money lender. Okay, so again, 3 ways to buy the properties. You want to buy them at a discount, 70 cents on a dollar minus repairs. But when you fund it, you want to use your cash, you want to use a hard money lender or a private money lender. Typically, hard money lenders are going to be the best way to go for beginning real estate investors. All right, so that's the buy portion of how to make these types of BRRRR deals work. So the next portion of the BRRRR strategy after you buy a property, again, buying it at a discount, is to rehab the property. And the reason why you're going to rehab the property is because you're going to bring up the value of the property to what it's actually worth in tip-top shape, so that when you go to refinance the property, you'll be able to maximize the amount of money that you're able to pull out of the property. We're going to jump into that in just a second. But when it comes to rehabbing, again, when you buy and you go to a hard money lender, they're going to provide you with the money to be able to rehab the property as well. So you don't have to have access to all of that capital. They're going to give you the money to be able to rehab the property. And typically, you're looking for light rehab types of jobs. If you can go in there and spruce up the kitchen, if you can go in there and modernize a bathroom and put down some good-looking floors and a fresh coat of paint on the entire house and fix what's actually broken, especially if you're looking to keep it short-term. If you're looking to keep it long-term, then you might have to do the roof and things like that. But you want to get estimates from at least 3 to 5 contractors on what it's going to take to make this property look really good. Typically, when I do these types of deals, I do the rehab project in such a way that if I ever needed a place to stay, I would want to live in that particular place. So you want to make it presentable. You want to make the property really nice for someone who's going to appreciate living there and appreciate how much you're going to ask for on a monthly basis in order for them to live there. Don't be a slumlord, okay? Don't just throw some paint on the walls and don't do anything else to the property and ask for top dollar. You're never going to keep tenants that way. Make the property livable. Make the property pleasant to live. Make the property presentable, and then you'll be able to max out how much money you're going to be able to get from the property. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and put brand new marble floors and things like that. You're not building a Taj Mahal, but what you're looking to do is take an economic approach to sprucing up the property, making it livable, making it presentable, and then you'll be able to ask for a lot more money on the rental income as well. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and rent the property. Now, the reason why you want to rent the property first is because most lenders, when you go to refinance, they're going to want the property to be seasoned. That means that someone lived in a property for 90 to, let's say, 180 days, 3 to 6 months before they'll do what's called a refi cash out. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, when you go to rent the property, there's 3 different strategies that I use to find out what market rents are in the area for a particular property. Number 1, I can use a realtor who focuses on renting properties. Number 2, you can use a rental Zestimate off of Zillow and compare that to, let's say, a site called rentometer.com. And I'm going to go ahead and link those particular sites in the description box so you can have access to them. But for the most part, that's generally how I come up with my rent estimates. I'll either ask a realtor, I'll look on Zillow to see what the rent Zestimate is, and I'll also compare that to rentometer.com. And once you do that and you have a generalized idea, let's just say that Zillow is at $1,050 a month. Let's say that Rentometer is at $975 a month, and you ask the realtor and they're at $1,000 a month. Generally, you can get an average of the 3 to see, what you come up with. And I'll typically drop maybe 5% off of that just to keep the rent affordable and rock with that number. So let's just say my average of the 3 is $1,000. I'll probably drop $50 off of that, and that's $950. Now, that's my rule of thumb. You don't necessarily have to do that. But the idea is to get a tenant in there that's going to stay in there long term and rent the property to them. And then once they're renting for 3 to 6 months, you can then move on to the next step. Now, when it comes to refinancing the properties, what I would do is find small local banks in your area and contact them and ask them if they provide portfolio loans. The relationships that you build in these banks are what's going to allow you to be able to get the capital out of these banks. These banks don't play by the same rules as the larger banks. They call their own shots. So that's why small local banks that provide portfolio loans will be your best bet on getting these properties refinanced. So when it comes to refinancing these particular properties, typically these banks will allow you to pull up to 80% of the actual rehabbed value of the property out of it. So remember, we purchased that 70% minus the repairs, right, on a $100,000 house. That means we're all into the property at roughly $70,000. When we go to refinance the property, after paying our lender costs and things like that, we're able to pull out 80% of the value of the property. So that means we're able to pull $80,000 out. Now, let's just say we're going to recoup our initial points. We're going to recoup our initial closing costs and things like that. Let's say after lender costs and things like that, we're all in at $75,000. What that means is once we pull out the 80 cents on the dollar, the 80% of the after repaired value, we're going to have an additional $5,000 that we can do something with, and that's going to be tax-free money. Okay, so not only do we have a new loan on a property at 80% of the actual value, we still have 20% equity in the property. We have $5,000 that we're able to put into our pockets tax-free, and we're able to pay the initial lender back all of their money and get all of our closing costs and points back on the refinance as well. And in addition to that, we still own the property, right? So that means that we can continue to collect from the property every single month as long as we own the property. So let's just say, for example, using the example of the property where we said we purchased it for $70,000 minus the repairs. We go to a small local bank and we ask them for a refi cash out at 80% of the ARV, which basically means we're pulling out $80,000 off of the $100,000 example that we used. That means we still have 20% equity in the property. Now, in addition to the 20% equity, we're able to pull out all of the money that we have tied up in the property, meaning the points, the closing cost, and everything else, the private lender's money and everything. We're able to get all of that money back. So we're literally into the deal with no money out of pocket, and the lender gets back all of their money so that we can go ahead and purchase another property with their capital. And in addition to that, we have an extra $5,000 of tax-free money if we're into it at, let's just say, $75,000. All right. So literally, we're into the deal with no money. We're able to pull 80% of the money out of it, have tax-free dollars in the amount of $5,000, get all of our money back, and pay the lender back all of their money as well. It doesn't get any better than this. Then what you do is you take that money and you keep rinsing and repeating the entire process until you build up your portfolio. We'll jump into that in just a second. Now, here's the beautiful part about why I love the BRRRR strategy. It's for rental income, passive income that you can rely on every single month. Let's just say, for example, on that $80,000 loan, we have a rate of 5% interest from the new portfolio loan. That means that our mortgage note is going to be right around $430 per month, plus taxes and insurance and things like that. So we might be all in to the property at, let's just say, $650 per month. If we're renting it for $1,000 a month, that means that our cash flow every single month is right around $350 per month in cash flow. The tenant is literally buying the property for us. So we purchased the property at a deep discount. We rehabbed the property to bring it up to par. We went ahead and rented the property for $1,000 a month. And we also went ahead and refinanced the property to pull all the money out of it and some additional tax-free dollars out of that property as well. And on top of that, we're creating cash flow every single month that we can do whatever we want with. So rather than living off of wholesale checks, we're living off of passive income streams that's coming from someone else who's paying down a property that we own. Now, all you want to do at this point is repeat the entire process. Again, take that lender's money that you started off with and keep rinsing and repeating the same process until you replace your current income that you have to actively go out there and get every single day. That's how the BRRRR strategy works. So I hope that you benefited from this video, and I hope you apply what you've learned today. Listen, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, and leave a comment. Let me know if you're using the BRRRR strategy right now. What have you been able to accomplish using this strategy in your real estate investing business? Start a conversation below, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.